Heath Robinson methods at times. And thankfully, we've got a really good modeling and map painting team. So a lot of work that we actually did, we went into even game method techniques to be able to project the geometry, to project the images onto the geometry, so we could save time, not have to go into texturing, not have to go into lighting. So therefore, we'd actually be able to chuck the renders out a lot faster, get them into comp and get them out into DI as fast as we could.
He'll start teaching us all.
Yeah,
I'll
have a PowerPoint up in a minute or something. Yeah.
You know, so Pete, let me interject there. You know, they say like, you know, creators has no constraints, so their imagination has no constraints. But you have constraints, and the whole production, the budget is constraints. And also, it's really interesting that the constraints also bring creativity, right?
That we found, yes.
Right. And is there a moment, like, or, you know, the high, like the most tense moment in this project, or a particular highlight that you'd like to share with us?
There was a couple, actually. Actually, there was quite a few. I think, how many fingers have I got? There's quite a few. If you notice it, and for those of you who were here for the beginning, there's one principal episode that we had, which is what we call the waterfall climb song. It was pivotal to actually get the character from the ground level to the top level, obviously. But each and every single shot was a unique asset. Every single shot was like building a set for that particular singular shot. It's not like, for example, the city center environment where we'd LiDAR scan the entire physical set, we'd build upon there so we could then shoot it from different angles. Every single one in this waterfall element was a unique shot, a unique set, digital set. So the principal one where we were going, oh my God, was what we lovingly call the Tarzan episode. Just he swings through, scrapes his feet across the water, splashes, does a high vault across the log. And when we saw the concept work for it, that granted we did. So yeah, we kind of shot ourselves in the foot a little bit with the complexity, but he saw it immediately, and we presented it, and he went, great, lovely, and we went, damn, okay, right, and we managed to pull it out. It was one of the last few shots that we delivered for the feature, and it was always one of those really pivotal, high detail moments that we managed to scrape and pull together with it. The main pivotal one though was the city. The city was we really would have loved to actually work a lot more on it, and I'm glad that we have the chance to do so in the second part.
Well, you know, the producer had a release date, right, that he announced, so you had to stop at some point.
We knew. Yeah.
Which leads me to a question to Rajamouli. It's like how many hours or maybe days before the release date did you actually know that you had a film in your hand done?
I mean, more than the release date, we will call it as a DI shutdown date. So DI shutdown date was 2 days before the release of the film, or 1.5 days before the release of the film. About 4 days before that, I believed the film will release. Until then,
I've been in touch with the producer before that, and you know, in his own words to me, a few days after the movie release, he said it was a near-death experience. And,
it was us who were dying.
and yeah, so that was an experience, and I'm sure that makes you stronger for part two, right? Now, I want to switch topics a little bit, and we learned a great deal getting involved in a production like this from a technology side, and looking at all the constraints and brainstorming ideas for the next film and beyond on what we can do on the technology side. Now, while all of this excitement in the last 12 months was happening, there was another excitement happening in the industry too, around virtual reality. Right? And those in LA, and actually this is the Nerve Center. I'm sure you've heard of it, and I'm sure many of you had some experiences with it. I've been talking to Rajamouli about this, that the filmmakers' tools for the last 100 years, have been more or less the same. And they've been creating all these amazing experiences, these emotions with this set of tools. Now, like one of the trademarks of his films, particularly from where I come from, everyone will say that they are hair-raising. Like it's an experience going to his film. And now with this VR, they are a new set of tools and new set of opportunities. So I actually want to start with him on his experiences with VR and what he sees as the potential for VR in storytelling, with his imagination.
I think any kind of experience that we see for the first time is the best one. Whatever we see, we drive a Ferrari for the first time, we drive 100 times after that, but the first time is always the best experience. Or seeing all the stars in the night for the first time, whatever experience we have in our life, the first time is the best. But for me, when I first saw a virtual reality demo, which was 1.5 years back or 1 year back, he showed me a roller coaster ride in a castle kind of thing. I was blown away just by the experience of it. It was so good. I would say it was surrealistic, because some of my senses were saying I am in a different place, but some of other senses were saying I'm in a different area. 1 year later, I saw, a few months back, I saw the new developed, technologically advanced demos of the new engine. I was amazed not only by what I saw, but also by the feeling that the second experience was much better than the first one. So it was. I was amazed myself. It was a great experience, and immediately, the thoughts started pouring in. Like, how can I tell a story in this one? What stories that I already know can I tell in this virtual reality world? There are so many, and it can be told in so much more enhanced way. But at the same time, there are so many problems too. So how would I make the audience focus on a particular thing? So I have spent my lifetime learning some skills in doing a film in a certain way. So then I realized all my learning is an obstacle to tell my story in a virtual reality world. So to tell my story in virtual reality world, first I have to unlearn what I learned and come out with a new way of storytelling. I can see 100 problems telling a story in VR, but I see 101 possibilities in telling the story. I'm very, very much excited. And the way to solve the problems is not sit and think about it, not sit and ponder about it. Just jump in and make a movie. If we fail, we fail. If we learn, we learn. But the thing to do is go and make a film. Go and tell a story in VR. I just can't wait to do that. It is so much exciting for me.
Yeah. So Pete, you got dragged into the VR thing and have been dabbling around with it. Tell us the advances you saw over the last year. That got in your hands.
I witnessed the same demo as the director about the same time, and for me, I tend to struggle quite a great deal with motion sickness when it comes to 3D, which is kind of strange because I work in 3D every single day. So, it's kind of really, I can't play first-person shooters. I have major problems, even third-person ones. Car driving games, fighting games, fine. But as soon as I'm actually that first person, this and this don't work together. So therefore, I have major issues. So when I first tried the demo, I say about a year and a half back, there was a little bit there. There was a little bit of nauseousness there. It kind of made me feel a little bit woozy, but more along the lines of the fact that the sense of inertia wasn't there. So with all the varying frame rates and the stuttering and so on that was happening, it was kind of problematic about a year and a half back. A few weeks back, we managed to get our hands on the. Can I mention the name?
Sure.
Okay. Just let us drop a bomb there. Managed to get our hands on the Crescent Bay and the AMD's Liquid VR system, and one of the samples that we had to play with there was the Dinosaur Island one, and it was smooth as silk, absolutely smooth as silk. And as artists, the first thing we try and do with the new tool is we try and break it. Just try and rip it apart. So I've got the headgear on. I'm flinging my head left and right, up, down, left, right, and center. Didn't drop a beat. Not a single. Constant refresh rate. It was absolutely amazing. So for us now, it's very, very exciting. Okay, the technology advanced to this level now. What's it going to be like in the next year, next 2 years, next 3 years? And it's only, we just need to treat this now as a new medium. So as technology advances, we can throw more stuff at it. We can make greater advances, bigger, more grandiose experiences. I'm not kind of fond of the word experiences, to be frank. It kind of seems, oh, it's a little thing, that's it. VR features. That's kind of the way we like to see it.
Well, we have the Crytek CEO in the audience here today, and he had a big smile when you said Dinosaur Island was running really smooth on the Liquid VR system.
It's great. Yeah.
So I know that's great. I mean, we are super excited as AMD on this whole VR cinema and the content creation on the VR, and it takes the whole village. The content creators like SS Rajamouli, the content studios, the VFX studios, and software companies, game engine companies like Chevat's company and others, and hardware companies. It all needs to come together, for this kind of great experiences to come to the audience. Now, I think I'd want with that I want to actually open it up for a few questions from the audience.
I have one down basic. Does Baahubali mean something?
Yeah, Baahubali means, Bahu means arms, Bali means strong. The one with the strong arms is called Baahubali. When she picks up the child and he grabs her finger in the, he's so strong that he can't live, and she names him Baahubali at that point.
The budget that you quoted of $30 million, was that just for the part one or part one and part two?
That is mostly for the part one. We shot a little bit of the part two also in that. So all that put together. But mostly it is part one. You can take it as the part one budget.
And as next you do part two, part three, part four, or?
No, my story finishes with part two, but we are planning to continue the characters of Baahubali, the worlds of Baahubali, because we have created so much of content. We have created so much of backstories, which are exciting by themselves. So we want to continue them into different transmedia. So we are looking into it. So we don't want it to end with this film, but the film ends with part two.
All right, got one on the back here.
So given the near-death experience you had with the 2015 release. How well prepared are you guys with the 16 release, and how much work has already gone in? And are you going to have some efficiency in terms of tools that you've already developed for part 1?
Well, because before the part 1 released, we just had an hope or an idea that the film will do well, and it will appeal to the audience in a much larger way. Part 1 released and it became a reality, and suddenly my stature grows up, so I have more say towards the part 2, but hopefully we will finish it in time. Everything seems that we are finishing time. We have the story ready, we have the tools ready, we have the everything that is required to be ready. Everything is on paper, so we should come on time.
There's also some elements which have already been shot as well. Some scenes have already been filmed because of they utilised the same sets in the first part, so therefore working, for example, in post has already long been running on those.
Yeah, and I can also add, he's not here on LA on vacation.
Yeah.
He's shooting here.
We have a beach scene?
Leading into what you just came up with, this was a very good experience, by the way. This is my first experience with an
Thank you.
film,
Thank you.
Indian produced film. But you said you like to go more into the realm of VR. Are you going to make your second part a more involving experience from the 2D to the 2D format, more of a VR style?
I think the films will always be there. Just like when the first televisions came, people thought that will be the end of the films. Who will go to theater and watch the films? But the theaters are there still here today, and the television developed on its own. Just like that, the VR will develop on its own. It is not a threat to any other medium. It is one more stronger and a different kind of medium. So we just need to tell the story in a different format for that medium. So the film will be there, the VR also will emerge. I hope I answered your question properly.
I'm losing the word that I was looking for. Was more immersive
Yes.
for the audience.
Yeah.
Is your second movie going to be that way?
It will be. It will be. For me, the first part, actually, the immersion comes more with the story and less with the technique. In fact, we have to use the techniques to make it more immersive. But what drives it is the story. The first part, if you have observed in a critical point of view, is more about establishing the characters. All the drama happens in the second part. So I think that itself is more immersive.
I look forward to it.
Thank you.
So one question there, and then
It's more for you.
Hi.
So I think working with more Indian film directors, I think their knowledge is more restricted to green screen, usually as part of VFX. How much of your job is at stake when you're working with a director who is so attuned to VFX direction and understanding the techniques? Is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? If so, I'm a technician myself,
Little column A, little column B, really. It's great. It's great. I mean, over the progression that we've, the past few films that we worked with each other on Magadira, we worked with each other on Maradona, we worked with each other on Iga, and also on Baahubali. And it's, I've noticed a progression of experience increase as we've worked together, and to the point where he acts as like an assistant soup. Which is really good, because I can sit back and go and get coffee. It's fine. But I wouldn't say that everything, you know, just going back to your initial statement saying that everything happens on green screen, it doesn't. It doesn't. Just like any Western feature, we still build practical sets. We will still shoot against practical sets as much as we physically can, because it comes out better, it looks better. Therefore, you can then just, you know, concentrate your effects work in areas which do require extension work. We do think outside the box. We will bounce ideas. I'll come up with one idea for a specific shot. He'll come up with another idea for the same shot. And we'll clash, we'll bang heads, and sometimes he's right, sometimes I'm right. You know, this is how it's a collaborative effort at the end of the day. But it's always really good for the guy with a vision to know exactly what he wants and also understand the processes as well. You can't get away with much though. Like, I can't say, I can't change that, it's going to take 4 weeks. You can just do that, you move up there and that's it, it's done. Yes, fine, we'll change it, okay.
So now, Snad, one in the center, and then we'll come back there.
Thank you for giving us Baahubali, Rajamouli. There's several things to like about the movie. I'm sure we've read it all in the reviews. I personally like the innovativeness, the creativity showed in the war tools, and also very few movies actually explain the war strategies. Well, you've done in the movie, right?
Yeah.
So the question I had is, what can we expect from Indian movies in future? What does this mean to the future of Indian cinema, according to you?
Very frankly speaking, I don't know. I don't know what to expect from myself on my next film. So, to gauge and understand what is going to happen with the Indian cinema on a whole is a lot more taxing to me. So I wouldn't do it. But it might be. We are in a very crucial moment of history as far as the films are concerned. We, in the sense, as Indians, for a very long time, we were limited to our country itself, or to our region itself. Now we are expanding our markets offshore. Our films are doing well outside the country, and also as Indians, even the low-income group are watching lots of Western films. So their perspective as film watchers is expanding. So we have to up the gear. So we are in that very crucial moment. So I think in the next coming 10 to 15 years, we will see a lot more growth in the storytelling, in our storytelling abilities. That is what I expect. Thank you.
One question there.
I heard that the version of the film we saw tonight was a bit shorter than the one that was originally released in India.
Yes.
And so I'm wondering, what was cut out? Why was it cut out? Why are we in America seeing a different version? If you could talk about that.
One thing was, I personally felt there are a few scenes in the film which are not actually making the story move forward, but they were just there because in the initial story writing stage they felt very good, and as the film is being made, towards the end of it, I felt they were not helping the story move forward as much as I wanted them to. But before the release of the original film, we didn't have any time to sit and ponder and think whether that's necessary or not. We were rushing. So after that, when we were going for a release, because we had time, and I saw the film many times along with the audience in the theater, I thought few scenes can be taken out, and in general the pace can be increased a little bit, is what I felt. So So we had a wonderful editor called Vincent who was brought on board. He went through the film, and many of you must have, maybe not you, many of the people who have watched it the second time, I'm sure they pretty much didn't know where the film was edited. Yeah, there's a song, but all that amounts to just 5 minutes. But 30 minutes was taken off, so he edited it very intelligently and made the film more pacey without losing any of the story. So, well, it worked for our advantage.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching it, so I would have liked to have seen more.
We have the part 2 coming for you. Yeah. Just one more year, it will be there.
So one more, yes.
With 30 minutes that we didn't see, I'm curious, how many shoot days did you have, and about how many VFX shots are in the film?
We shot in general, we shoot a lot more in India in compared to the Western films. We shot for 380 days. The whole film was shot for 380 days. How many shots did we have, Pete?
We handled around about 1,500, and that was principally the water and the city and the extensions there.
Yeah,
and
we had
so
more
I'd say around about 2,500 at least. Yeah.
For 30 million, bravo.
Another question there.
On the visual effects, there are wonderful visual effects in the film. How much of that did you have to develop special tools or special paradigms?
Because of obviously timescales and constraints and what have you, we a lot of the stuff we actually decided to utilize a lot of out of the box techniques, but customize them to our necessity, to our needs. We've got a fair few amount of decent effects guys working with us, and we invested heavily in simulation software like using Houdini and using RealFlow and that kind of thing, especially for the sim work. But we also used a lot of old school techniques. For some shots, it was physically impossible to. I mean, case in point, the waterfall. The waterfall's 1.5 kilometers high. In one particular shot, just to get that sheer vista, we actually physically measured how high it would be, and it actually came to 5 kilometers just to get that composition. So if you tip a load of water off the top there, after about 15 meters, missed. That's it. So a lot of it we had to cheat. So by doing those cheating methods, we actually managed to still keep the aesthetic and be able to control the volumes, control the water. So we used a lot of, old school game methods, sprite methodology, single pace volumes, and that helped bring the timescales down. I hope that explains everything.
Yeah, thanks for elaborating on those waterfalls a little bit more. It was pretty impressive stuff. I was going to ask what you were using it for.
Sorry, I've got a big light right in my face, man. Sorry.
But could you elaborate a little bit more on whether you're using GPUs or CPUs, or how you were dealing with those giant fluid dynamics? Because
combination thereof. And so a lot of it was hybrid. A lot of it was hybrid work. At the time when we initially started, a lot of it was CPU work, but towards the end of the feature, we branched both into hybrid CPU and GPU. And then because of the software improved and the TDs that we've got, managed to leverage some of the GPU tech within there as well. And just purely due to the simulation work was, for a lot of the shots, was off the scale. I think some were taking about a week and a half to sim. It's, even for a short shot, because we had to fill so much space. So we had to break it down into individual chunks. We initially tried, okay, let's try tipping all the water off at the top. And the systems exploded. So everything was decided to be treated individually. So therefore, we could do one section with CPU, one section with GPU, one section is old school volumes, one section with sprites, and a lot of, like I say, Heath Robinson methods to try and achieve the visual that we'd already got ourselves into a hole with by designing.
So I think we'll do one last question and wrap it up. I saw another hand pop up.
Well, I don't think you have 380 days till part 2. So what's the shooting schedule like for part 2?
So we should go now.
Yeah. Check, please.
We have earmarked 150 days for the rest of the shoot. We are starting in November, end of November. So by the end of the next year, our film should be ready.
Cool. So, I want to wrap it up, but before I do that, I really want to thank all the folks at AMD that helped pull this off. Chris Hook, Chris Starr, Roy Taylor. I can't see the light. Heather, Naveen. Put your hand up there. Give them a big hand because they did a lot of stuff. So thank you all. Thank you all for coming. And Roy, anything you want to add, or?
If everybody liked it, let's do it again next year.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Large picture. Yeah.
Cheers. Okay.